During his first term in 1992, President Bill Clinton addressed the nation and presented a challenge to the American people.
National service will be America at its best, building community, offering opportunity, and rewarding responsibility. National service is nothing less than the American way to change America.
President Clinton wasn't the first to recognize the importance of national service. In fact, the idea has been with the nation since its birth, but became prominent in the early 20th century with the creation of the Civilian Conservation Corps.
The CCC was a work relief program initially intended for a young man 18 to 25 years old. Within a month of the concept of the CCC and the Emergency Conservation Work Act being signed on March 31st, they opened it up to veterans of the Spanish-American War and World War I that were unemployed. We're now in the midst of the Great Depression, so what better way to get certain projects done, infrastructure projects done for the nation?
Because it was literally an army of young men doing so much work in such a short amount of time, we would probably be decades behind from where we are now. With state park development, national park development, they built trails on Isle Royale, so they made Isle Royale National Park happen. They literally built the Seney National Wildlife Refuge. So they planted 484 million trees just here in Michigan. So literally the forests we enjoy today, the clean streams we enjoy today, the state parks we enjoy, that all can, so much of that can be directly traced back to the work the CCC did.
While much of the work the CCC did is still visible to us today, so much can still be done to ensure a bright future for the nation.
Volume of work is still great. It's an ongoing process, and if you let it lay and not keep it up for a long time, you get forest fires. Just look at California. They don't maintain fire breaks, and that's a sad thing. There's theories about letting things go back to nature. There's kind of a difference between environmentalists and conservationists. Conservationists, you play with nature to make sure it stays safe. Environmentalists, you let things go back to nature completely, and that can be problematic. Most forest fires, even today, are set by man, either accidentally or by arsons. So it's an ongoing problem, and we could benefit by the CCC.
With its many benefits, reinstating the CCC could immediately help people struggling with money get back up on their feet and secure a job. But it also has many long-term benefits, such as the preservation of land and wildlife in national parks across the country.
The money did a lot immediately to help people out, but then you have the long-standing benefits of our national parks, our state parks. Some states didn't even have a state park until the CCC. But taught them how to work with people. And that experience went over into World War II. Now you had men that have actually led people in a non-combat situation, but they knew how to work with people from varying backgrounds, different ethnic groups, things like that. You could say, I did, say, a year or a half a year with the CCC. They're going to hire you quicker than somebody else who's out of high school and never had a job, because they know that you know how to follow, like the rules of the workplace, things like that. They know by looking at your discharge papers if you did satisfactory work, and that's reviewed by the camp superintendent, which is usually a conservation officer, and the Army officer in charge of the camp. So if you got a good rating from that, they're like, you're going to be a good employee.
So, honest pay for honest work. Major benefits to society as a whole. Learning how to work well with people who are different than you. Why do we need any of that in 2021?
Today, I am officially declaring a national emergency.
Unemployment rate right now has jumped to 14.7%, the worst number of people unemployed since the Great Depression.
Overnight, Minneapolis on fire. Protesters leaving an auto parts store in flames.
To revitalize the CCC is not just to go back to times when youth work was more accessible, but to create jobs in an increasingly shrinking market and to provide work much needed for the conservation and protection of the environment. Over the next decade, around 1.5 million jobs are expected to be lost in the U.S. as automation and other factors engulf the U.S. taking away more jobs every year. Bringing back the CCC would mean more than just more jobs. It would mean making the fallacy of the American dream real once again by giving people the opportunity now and in the future.